Hello, my name is Raniyah,
And my name is Maria.
and this is Light Cuisine.
Food for the soul.
All right, so today is our inaugural episode. This is our entree number one at Cater Cafe. And Maria, what are we ordering today?
We're gonna order the main meal of Tay's prayer.
All right. Any particular portion of it?
All of chapter 1.
All right, that sounds yummy.
It does. Really delicious.
So yes, so let's go forth. Let's go on into Cater Cafe and enjoy our meal for today. All right, but before then, just for everyone who's listening, just want to go through our 3-course meal that we're gonna consume today. We're gonna have 5-10 minutes appetizer read, 10 to 20 minute main dish analysis, and 5-15 minute dessert Q&A. So let's go for it. All right, you're ready. I'm ready. But before then, let's just have a moment chat. We're waiting for our food. It's already been put in. How has your week been, Maria? Anything you learned? Anything that's been encouragement to you?
My week has went smoothly. But I do want to share an experience that I had about over a week ago.
All right.
Okay. So, about a week ago or so, I had a desire to share my love and my energy with my partner's great grandma, aka Gammy. And she's in a nursing home. So I got a little nerve-wracked at the thought of someone misconstruing my intents and my actions. Because the things that I wanted to do were play some native drum music, some classical piano sounds, touch her hands, rub her head, kind of massage her. And in my partner's family, touching and this form of expression isn't one that I really recognize in them. So yeah, I felt a little nerve-wracked for a while. Anyhow, I went to go visit, and to my luck, there was no one around, and she was sound asleep. So I still did my thing, the music, the hand rubbing, the love and energy, expression and all that. And suddenly I hear a knock and a voice calling for Marvin, or maybe it was Malton. It started with an M, but that doesn't really matter. But anyhow, I go to the door, and it's a little elder lady with a walker. And she told me that she was looking for her husband. I can tell that she was expressing her distresses, and I can see her confusions. So I hugged her, and I held her hand, and I touched her head, and I gave her some words of comfort, and I guess what I would call my love energy. And I can tell that she embraced it. So soon enough, a nurse aide came to kind of, I'm assuming she was trying to redirect her back to her room. And before our encounter ended, the little lady thanked me for listening. Well, I actually felt very thankful myself that I followed my desire to come and make this visit, because I saw in such a simple format how strong the magnetism and power of love really is. And that it even drew this lady. So anyways, I was glad that I got to embrace that sacred moment with even her. And she wasn't even what I was initially there for. So at least that's how I saw it. And for me to worry about things, there's no need for me to worry about how I'm perceived. Yeah. That really what I need to do is just follow my heart, and my everyday, I guess my path will be lit. So I just kind of have to just keep going forward. And that's what I wanted to share. So thanks for letting me share that.
Thank you for sharing. Apologize for any background noise. Apparently at the cafe, they want to do some lawn mowing right now. Really? Are you for real? Of all the times I've come to this cafe, at this point in time, there has been none of this racket.
I didn't hear it, but you know what? At least you know that we are sitting in an outdoorsy, fancy cafe, and people are cutting the grass. Exactly. That's good.
Exactly. But as for me, one of those breathe in, breathe out moments where it was like a crystallization and encouragement was just knowing the difference between someone who has mastery and someone who has crystallization over a particular event, a particular aspect of their life. It's helped me to reshape my mind, in how I view. So what I mean by that is someone who has mastery at work, they could be very efficient. Like they have all the skills on the computers, but then when you put them in a different situation, it's like they lost everything, that the commonality that links everything together. It's like all missing. And it's come to realize that people, if there's no desire, if there's no motivation, usually it's a financial like gain situation that motivates people, and that's why they master. If there is none of that or no internal drive for themselves, they can really be naive when it comes to something else. It's weird to think about, like someone opening up a browser, or let's say opening up a Word document, but then when you get to the browser that has similar tabs and everything, they're completely lost. And again, it just helped me rationalize in my mind that, okay, this is how someone can actually see, but be unable to see everything. It's like they're seeing a tree, but they're unable to see the forest, and how everything is rooted in something similar. So I know it gave me a moment to reflect and act back down. I know that concept, that ideal. And yes, you tell people, but again, they're going to have that particular soil in them. It's just kind of like you and I, like we have, I guess you could say, went after certain information. It has been just a thirst for knowledge and understanding. Just a realization that everyone is at a different stage, and a lot of people are far from just wanting to seek things out for knowledge sake in of itself, to be knowledgeable, to figure out the best course. They're only concerned about their day-to-day bills piling up, and that's all that can be seen immediately in their view, versus just what's over the horizon. So like I said, it was just a moment like, okay, this makes sense. Let me put that in my repertoire of understanding, so that my response or my expectation of others can be more tempered, if you will, more moderated. But
thank you for sharing that.
Yes, enjoyed sharing it. Hopefully it's a benefit to you, anyone else who's listening, even though this is a one-on-one, so who should be listening to our conversation, right?
But on the low, Raniyah, were you talking about me?
Was I talking about you?
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
No.
No, I like your observation of that, though. So I'm glad you shared that, and that's I'm gonna ponder with that too. Okay. So,
and as will I, with just going forth, let my love radiate, and then it be felt, and it drawn all men unto me.
Fantastic.
Right. Let's go forward. It looked like our appetizers are ready, so let's go ahead and chow down. So we have our TAE prayer, our reading. So I'm going to go ahead and take the odd verses, and you'll take the even, and we'll proceed from there, waiting for our main dish.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to read the odd verses. So let me begin. Verse 1. Jehovah the Creator said, I blow my breath upon the planet, and man comes forth inquiring, who am I, and what is my destiny?
2. So I send an elder brother of man to teach him and show him the light.
God said, behold me, O man, I am an elder brother. I have passed through death and found the glory of the unseen worlds.
4. Jehovah gave to me, your God, dominion over the earth and her heavens.
Man said, I have found truth in corpor, physicality. I know I live. The trees grow and die. This is true knowledge. Give me truth regarding the unseen in a way that I can prove is truth.
6. And in the stirring up of man's soul, Jehovah spake through his sons and daughters. His voice came up out of the marsh and down from the heavens above. And the children of men heard and saw and rose up because of the Spirit in them. They responded to him, who is almighty, and their voices were called Tae, because as it is the universal word of all children born, so it represents the universal prayer of man, humankind.
Tae said, "Reveal, Father, give me light. I see the wide earth, the sun, moon, and stars, but the great vault of heaven appears to be just an empty sky. Where's the dwelling place of the dead, the place of the souls of men?"
8. In times past, you have quickened seers and prophets, and through them lifted up your children and proclaimed other worlds. Am I less worthy than those of past ages? All the while my forefathers and now I have abided by your mighty presence.
By your own hand you have quickened my consciousness to be dissatisfied with the old revelations and made me peer deeper into the cause and place of things, and to desire further light from your holy place.
10. By your power, my manhood, womanhood, has been raised up. Only by your power and wisdom will I be appeased.
When I was a child, I believed as a child, because it was told to me. But now that I am grown, I desire to know who your prophets were and how they attained their gifts and wisdom of words.
12. The cosmogony you taught in ancient times was sufficient for that day. But now I am raised up by you to receive comprehensive knowledge of the sun and the stars of other worlds and of their travel in your great firmament.
And now I cry out to you, where's the promised heaven? Where's the proof of immortal life? By you I was quickened into life and made conscious that I am. To you I come in the majesty you made me, you my Father. By you I was made determined to sift all things to the bottom. In you I know there is capacity to encompass all my holy desires and answer me.
14. Give me of your light, O Father. When I was a child, I called to you as a child. Now I call out in the manhood, womanhood you have bestowed upon me. I will know your lords, gods, saviors, and your promised heaven.
I have scaled the mountains, the countless corporeal worlds traveling in the eternal sea of space speak of your handiwork. I have perceived that all the stars in heaven would not fill the hollow of your hand, that truly your breath moves the universe. The glory of your works has inspired me with fervor to come to your mighty home.
16. Speak, O Jehovah. You alone can satisfy this soaring spirit that sprang from you, inspired. Give me light, O Father.
I have encompassed the earth and bridged this nation with the similar words. My geography is finished. Oh, give me a book of heaven. I have burrowed deep in corporeal knowledge and have seen the drift of all on the earth. Where is the spirit world in the land of the dead? Oh, give me light. Alrighty. That was a good appetizer.
It sure was. I thought that was the main meal for a second. Really good.
All right, sounds like our main dish is ready. So let's go on to our 4-section question dissection and do a little bit of analysis of what we just consumed. So it can penetrate and go through all our system and be assimilated into us. So I guess I'll kick it off this time. First, we're going to go to our fruit section. And that poses the question, what impacted you the most in this passage? And why do you think this is? All right. So I think what impacted me the most, going back to the passage, going back to verses 1 through 5, to go back over here, is the aspect that God is an elder brother. And I know that seems like something that's far-fetched and everything, even though it should make sense. But I think that is so cool because why? It gives me a sense that there's something more beyond. Like usually what's painted so many times is that you go into heaven and it's pearly white or pearly gates and there's white clouds and that's it. It just seems like it's a big drag, a big bore. But this gives you that sense that you're going to be helping people. And for those who have that mindset of wanting to give, that's an encouragement that there's nothing that is no boredom. Like a lot of people may hate work, but it's only because it's something that's forced upon them, and they would be doing some other type of work that would satisfy their soul. So just knowing that, okay, there's going to be much more than just harp playing and that's it, and just lounging around and like whatever images that are painted in modern Christianity or the various religions of what heaven will be. That for me was exciting. Like if you continue going on, like I have a greater work that will never cease, never end, and therefore I become like my father, Jehovah, whose work has never ended as well. And I get to be like him. And there's never a dull moment. So for me, that is something that hit me right off, that what God is, I can become and do it for another. And the cycle never ends. It's like cells getting bigger and flourishing and taking on a more significant portion in the body. So yeah, for me, that was what impacted me the most. What about you, Maria? What hit you the most?
Well, what impacted me the most is the expression of TAE. I felt that like Jehovah was giving me a narrative of how I felt and allowing me to read it through TAE's expression. And I liked it. I liked the hierarchy too, where above man, there was God, and then there was Jehovah. It seems like, there's levels there. And I like that. For me, I connected with that, and it made me feel, a connection.
Yeah.
And so in a sense that did impact me. I don't really have too much more to say about that. I just felt that he was expressing exactly how I felt through this passage in someone else's perspective about awakening, in a sense, even though the word awakening wasn't there, but the insight of the questioning of man, knowing that you can know one thing, but other things don't make sense. And even those questions stirring up, that with a clear mind and a clear spirit, you can ask for a light, and that light to me resembles the answers that you need. And TAE seems to ask a lot about, he was asking Jehovah to give him that light, and it seemed like he was getting, in a sense, closer to understanding a truth. And in the same sense, I feel that same way with my Creator. Okay. That I have asked for that light, and I have been given that light, and I'm able to see things in a way that I didn't see before.
Okay.
So that's my share on that.
All right. Was there a particular question? Like, I know a general sense, but was there something that hit more so in that question? Because I know you mentioned that before. And I know we sat down and we talked previously. But was there a question that you can think of? If no, then we can move on. But
no. Okay. Not from the top of my head, no.
Okay. That's cool. Well, let's go on to our next portion then. Now it's time for our veggie. Okay. So next question is, how does this passage affect you in your walk with the Creator and with others? You want to start this off?
Sure. How does it affect me in my walk with the Creator and with others? For me, as I was saying before, it seemed like TAE was expressing the awakening of man's spirits, the realization that there's more out there than meets the eye. And I felt that I was kind of feeling that same way too. It caused those same feelings of, I guess I would have to say that I come from a Catholic Christian background. So I had a very limited outlook to things, and I only knew what I knew of through what was kind of handed down to me. And I never really sought elsewhere. But with that passage, it reminded me of how I felt when I started to recognize that some things just don't make sense. And I really, it forced me to dig deep within myself, to pray harder, to heal myself, in a sense, cut off certain habits and stuff to heal me so that I can find a truth that made sense to me. And the passage, again, it helps me to remember how far I've come with my walk with the Creator. As with others, it applies the same way with others too, because the closer I feel with the closer I feel with the Creator, the more that I am given His light, I feel that it helps me also with my brothers and sisters that surround me. So the passage is very, it is to me a subtle reminder of the walk that I'm walking as of now.
Okay. Well, for me, were you done?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say thank you for letting me share that.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. For me, it creates a deeper appreciation. A lot of times, like again, just that lack of direction or sensing of direction, and like I said, in just the Christian broadness of it and all the denominations and so forth, you never truly get the why things are set up, or I guess the more or the vision, I guess the overall vision of where things are leading. So just to know that we have been given such a grand task, it brings sense, again, the appreciation of the different parables. Like I think about Messiah, or as the world commonly calls him, Jesus, how it talks about being given charge over like 3 cities or 5 cities or 10 cities or something of that nature. It's a number of cities, and like you wonder, like, when is this ever happening? But now it's like, oh, like in the time to come, as we extend spiritually, we go higher up, after we pass from this corporeal existence and then live the true spiritual beings that were made outside of this shell that is continually dying. I have so much more, like, and the Creator wants to give that to me, and it's just been limited. Like, again, just the veil of darkness has been put on all of us, and just the cliche answers or responses that you get from ministers, and like the lack of true motivation or the lack of knowledge that they may even have on this topic, it leaves you empty. But to find this wealth of information, like I said, the sensation, the feeling is that of deep appreciation for just the meticulousness that the Creator has brought and given to each and every one of us. As far as how it affects my walk with others, it makes me more prone to be ready to extend them. After all, they could be the next God, so I'm looking at someone who else, whereas before there's no consideration of that, or it could be a more, how can I say this? There'll be no thought of that because of just how it's been implanted. Like, there's no raising up, even though there's hints and clues throughout the entire Bible of this, and we'll get to that in a moment. Is never that consideration that no, each one of us has a God portion within us, and that if I'm doing this to you, then I'm really hurting. I'm truly, in the most realistic sense, I'm hurting God, the Creator, that's above all the different gods, all the different children that can be nothing more than gods that are in training, that are in growing themselves. Light begets light. So it changed my understanding. And sure, if people are doing things vehemently, or just out of spite, yes, you say something of it, but again, it still is that recognition at the end of the day. There's still that desire that the best comes of it, even if there's no scene, or there's no light, or there's no illumination at that point in time for the individual. So yeah, that's how it has affected me. To chew on that, to know on that, to eat the veggies that are less sweet than the revelation that, wow, I can become like the God who is the elder brother. Now it's that realization that, okay, something a little more nutrient just beyond me. Everyone else is the same as well, and I should treat them accordingly.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's well said.
But let's go on. We got 2 more sections to consume. So now we're in our protein section. So this is where we're tying together, like as proteins intertwined to make you stronger and create your muscles and everything. So also looking at other passages and bringing everything together into unity will strengthen us in our spiritual walk. So the question is, does this passage remind you of anything else you've read? What and how?
Me? No, it does not remind me of anything I have read.
Okay.
So I wouldn't have anything to compare it to. That's the first time that I had read something like that. Mm-hmm. Besides it reminded me, what it reminds me of, as I said before, is of my experience, my personal experience, just through a different view. But I've never read anything similar to that.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, I have, and ironically, it's straight up in the Bible. And I'll read 2 of them, okay? And it's both in the Old and New, just people know that it was nothing just exclusive, because a lot of times people want to rip Older Testament, New Testament, and they separate the Bible because of that artificial divide that mankind has put in when they were all scrolls. There was no division. That's how man has set it up, so that it makes it seem like that's been done away with, which is a farce. But again, you take things from one section and Yeshua or Jesus repeat them again, over again. So like that destroys that ideology. But the first one that comes to mind is in Psalm chapter 82, verse 6 through 8. And it literally says this: I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High, but ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. And I looked at that, and it's been controversy before about, oh, it's just angels, but we become like the angels, because that's what Yeshua said in another passage. Like, after you die, you're like the angels in heaven. So if it's the angels, then it's what we're going to become anyway, based on what's been said in the New Testament when he was debating with the Pharisees and Sadducees about someone who they marry and what becomes of the person after they all die, whose wife. But he said something succinct there. And I think that most people skip over that or miss it because, again, we've just been blinded by the traditions, and we're never taught or trained how to think independently or to see the implications of what certain words mean. But you're all going to die like men. Well, who die like men? Men. So, to whom the word of God came to, they were called gods. So to whomever the word is coming to, like taking the context, to each person who's receiving it and who's willing to live by those commands, who receive Jehovah, they are being given the ability to be gods. But you still got to go through this process where you lose the corporeal shell altogether. So I know they like to distinguish between lowercase g, uppercase g in the Bible, but neither Hebrew or Greek had these lowercase, uppercase. Is only in English. So that puts a little nuance on it that you think something that is lacking. But no, like if the Father is all in all, like everyone has this glowing manifestation of light that needs to be nurtured and go back home to the Father. But it said it distinctly there, like ye are gods. So when I read something like the WASP, it just brings a second testimony to the situation where, okay, I've read that before, but there's very few places, and now this is clarifying it altogether. What God is what I am going to become, so I can help others. And one of the things that Yeshua says is that the greatest among you is going to be the servant of all. And that's exactly what God is becoming to his younger brother. He's become the greatest servant. It's nothing to rule over or just pick up my clothing or serve me food or anything of that nature. No, it's really with the purpose of serving. And those who are unwilling to do that, to bring that knowledge or enlightenment to men, well, they will never be exalted to a position where they will be responsible for an entire world. Another passage it reminded me of was in the New Testament. Like, so again, people want to divide and say the Old Testament, New Testament only, but it's in both places. And actually, Yeshua, Jesus said it himself. He was answering the Pharisees at that time, and they were trying to find fault with them. And he said in John chapter 10, verse 34, Jesus answered them, "Is it not written in your law, I said, ye are gods?" He's quoting Psalm. He's bringing that which was old into the forefront. And like, if I'm saying I'm the son of God, what problem do you have? Bible already said you're gods. If I'm saying I'm the son, like I'm something less because I'm a son, and you're just being claimed as gods. So for me, it just linked everything up. People want to make the Bible philosophy seem like they're one against each other, but again, it's just the programming that we receive. We've been taught so many lies, and we're unable to distinguish the tradition from what the Bible is actually saying. But it's all there. It's just we've been getting pieces here and there. But as Isaiah said, a little here, a little there, and that's how you mature your overall walk. It's just a puzzle. All these pieces you got to put together. Some of them have been approved by the church, and others have been pushed aside because it fails to fall into the agenda that people have, or those in charge have, to control the masses. And so you never hear them. And that's how I entered with the philosophy. Like, no, there's other portions. Whatever's lovely, whatever's pure, think on these things. Now, how it reminds me, the uses of God in association with responsibility. So in all of this, in the passage that was read above, it says inherit. Like, arise, O God. Like, now this is the big G, but of course this is the big brother, who's over all of the other gods, who are under them, under him, who he's serving. It talks about inheriting. And like, then you start thinking, like, if everything is the creator's, how can he inherit unless he's someone different? Because inheritance is something that you give to your children. It's like, it's saying it right there. How can the creator inherit? No, it's a separation. It is someone, even right there, it's capital G, but who can inherit? The children. That's always the case. And so the Bible is revealing, it's just blinders have been put on our eyes because men have manipulated true tradition, and they never share a certain portion, and you stay completely ignorant, even though it's been there your whole life, literally. But that's what I received, that protein section, and it strengthened my sinews and my ligaments. And like, wow, this is something else. Just greater and greater light along the way.
Well, you have a very beautiful mind and a very eloquent way of expressing and comparing these things. So I appreciate what you just shared.
Yes. It is deep. Like, it's deep waters. And if everyone really knew, most of them will walk out of these whorehouses because they're telling them just lies for the money. There's no way that I would tithe to anybody, and you have revealed nothing. What have you given to me? I can do that by myself. And that's what most people have to come to the conclusion of. These people are lying, and they keep it very limited. There's no offending anybody because that requires something of someone holding each other accountable. And no, that hurts the pocketbook. So you have these mega churches that are well funded, millions, and then you look at the person they're following. Wait, he was a carpenter, right? He was poor with his disciples. So you're greater than your master. But anyway, let's go for it. Let's go to our final section, and this is our fiber section. So fiber is something that clears out your body so that you can receive and what is new. And so our final question deals with our ability to clear out ourselves and to enter into the mindset of someone else. And therefore, we have this question: what do you believe is the biggest hurdle in this passage for others to accept?
I would think it would be the names. Okay. A lot of people, when you're stepping out of a box, mm-hmm. it's a scary thing, because outside of the box, the world could look really big, and you don't know if you're going to fall and stuff, but you kind of step out and you want to get a taste of what's out there, but it's like, sometimes it feels safer to go back in the box because it's what you know.
Sure.
And I'll use myself with the book Ospey and even this name. So when I was trying to step out of my box, and delve into different books and things out there, the names, it scared me. It made me feel like, no, this is not right. Let me just go back inside. I don't want to be confused. This is what I was warned about. That's why I was only supposed to stay in the Holy Bible. And mind you, even then, I still didn't even read it that much. I used to only just reference here and there in the Bible. So I didn't even read it back and forth, like back and front or anything like that. It was just the handbook that I had.
Yeah.
And that's the one that if you were going to use it as a resource, just go there. So the namings there, like Jehovah or Jehovah, or however we choose to name it, because how you call them is okay. But that to me, I would say would be a hurdle for anyone coming into this or trying to step out of their box. Because it is different. So some people may use, and I'm not saying that not everyone is, just uses the name Jesus, but there's other names out there, other religions, other beliefs that use different names, and may just abide to that and believe that that's the only name. So again, it would be the naming, and even the idea of there being the hierarchy of things right now. So just the top 3 from the beginning of the section was you have man, then God, and then above God was Jehovah. It could kind of conflict a little bit with certain religions. And that's what I'll share for now. That's what I would think would be the biggest hurdle, is that one of them.
I definitely agree. Those traditions that have been manipulated by men. But if you go back to the purest form of all the religion, if you think about quote unquote Native Americans, you had a great spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been that way. Everyone know about the great spirit. That's the creator. And that's what was celebrated here. It's just we've been made to forget. And then you have as other testimonies of Jesus Christ, Yeshua, that where it gives the example in the readings that I've come across. First thing, the Bible says that if all the worlds fulfill all the things, that there be no, of what he did, there would be no space. So that's one of the little jump off points, okay, where are the other books? If it's so much information, so other people had to write something. So why am I limited to only six books, and then even shorter than that, I think 27 or so in the Newer Testament? If John is saying that there'll be no space, then why can't I have complete space in just one little handbook? So that makes you question. There's portions that have been taken out. You're warned of that, you either add or take away, and people have done it continually. So when you look at the indoctrination and the manipulation, then yes, it's against someone's tradition, their religion. But when you go to the purest form in all of these, there's no contradiction. When you study, show yourself approved, or workman that needs not be ashamed, rightly divine the word of God, then there's no qualms. It's just when you go try to share with people who have just accepted the church doctrine, and I say church as opposed to what is actually written, then that's when you run into problems. But otherwise, just studying myself, like I said, it brought so much clarity. If I was going along with the church stance, then yes, I'll be stuck and I'll be able to receive nothing else. But actually, when I read it by myself, it pushed me to engage and find other things. Go figure. As for me, what I believe the biggest challenge would be is everyone receiving that there's a God portion in everyone. I know, just to give you an example, I had a Christian relative that hated something I was saying, scriptural. And you think the Christian try to find a way to elevate you, but the wording was go to hell. What? I thought you were trying to save soul, but you got angry and you want the torment to fall on me so intensely. And I know what the Christian view is, forever and ever torment. Literally, you want me to suffer forever because you're angry for a moment. And it's that's wow, this is what Christianity has produced. This is what your religion, I thought you were supposed to love.
And I am even people just they use. I'm pretty sure the person you're speaking about didn't feel as strongly as the words expressed.
Oh yes, it was, because they said I'm the enemy. Oh yes, they did. Oh, it was. Again, you're giving too much credit. It was hatred. It was hatred. Like, again, you hear the venom. Yes, people can be wicked, and they will express those things to fools because they get offended. You have in the Bible people stoning, people crucifying. It was sheer hatred. And what did the men do?
It's fear.
It's fear.
It's fear.
But it's hatred as well. They hate being challenged. They like how it is, and they're so vehement against it that they want to just take out forever or condemn forever, unbeknown to them that they're condemning themselves. Because how can you raise up? How can you give to others if your heart is weighed down with those emotions? That's the catch-22, if you will. If you condemn me, then you're truly condemning yourself. And this is what Yeshua said as well, Matthew 25:40. Inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, ye have done it unto me. We're just talking about the king, and he's himself as returning. But what does John 10:30 says? It says, I and my Father are one. So if they're one, and I'm doing, and you're recognizing there's a God portion in each one of us, then you're really telling, in the end of the day, God, I want you to go to hell. Like, because it's a failure to recognize that each one of us has that eternal life, that eternal essence, that flame that has been put in us, a gift from my Father. And again, that's one of the revelations for me. Like, that's why I said at the very beginning, able to esteem more, because that recognition that each one of us has that spark. And people do it, yes, as Yeshua said, Jesus, when he was on the cross, like, they know nothing of what they're doing, because he could see that. He could see that essence, that portion in each one of us, and think of those who come. So yes, it can create a situation of more compassion toward each other, but it never negates that people have this rage, these emotions that is irrational. Yes, it may be hatred toward themselves, but it's also hatred that extends outward to their fellow man too. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. That's the fiber section. Like, how can I cross over and get into the mind of someone else? What was the biggest hurdle so that I can adapt my ways and be a benefit to them? Or
thank you for sharing that, Raniyah.
So let's go on to our dessert, our Q&A. So, did you have any questions for me? Anything clarification wise? And I'll ask the same of you. If there's anything from my end, did you have anything you wanted to ask?
No, I did not.
Everything? Okay, so our yummy clarification dessert is almost finished. Very light dessert, I guess, then.
Yes, but you know what though? This, because this is our first dinner date or lunch date together. Mm-hmm. So, but soon down the line, there'll be more people eating with us, and there'll be a lot of dessert to share. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And yes, definitely. And we'll open up later on. But yeah, for the time being, let me see if there's anything. I think what you said was pretty clear. I do like to point just the questions and how it's presented. I know for me, just in the question, like the whole action of who am I? That's one question I thought of that may be indirectly stated, but that's something that all of us we trip over at some point in time. And just wondering, what was my purpose? And it's like, that's what exactly what OASP, and even this first chapter in Tae's prayer, is giving you. Your goal, your mission is to become God so you can serve more people. And your task is never finished. You continue to elevate in the ranks and be able to serve more and more. And again, it's more blessed to give than to receive. And you get that joy when millions, billions, trillions have been affected because you chose to live in the light. It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful life. So, final thoughts. You have anything for us?
No, but I do look forward to continuing these readings and sharing in the same format that you have put together for everybody. I think it's fantastic. And yeah, I enjoy listening to you too, Raniyah. You have a very, very nice way of expressing things and thinking things and observing them. It actually inspires me to want to dig deeper. It does. And I guess that's my final thought of everything. I love how everything was presented. I love how we communicated things, and your extra touch of love with all the creative arts to this too.
I appreciate it.
And I share this on here on this recording, so don't cut it out, because I think it's important for people to know your love and your passion as well that you put into this. I think it's very important.
Well, I appreciate that. Well,
no problem.
As for me, my final note is this: for everyone to always seek, observe, and understand. Until later.